Welcome, everyone, to another session of Being at Home with George. I'm really excited and energized after being on vacation for the last 2 weeks or so, and just really understanding or really getting a sense for what it means to be back home and just being able to take everything in. As you remember, we talk about holding the hurt and generating the hope. And it's interesting because with the historic event of having a woman of color being selected as a vice presidential choice and what all that means, I believe that a lot of us really didn't take in or really didn't understand the significance of that, especially with the 100 years of women's right to vote and on and on and on. And at the same time, there's a level of uncertainty that I feel that's going up a couple of notches, and it's hard to believe that in spite of everything that's going on, there's all of these challenges around to go to school, to not go to school, to go to college and not go to college, not continuing the extra $600 for folks to be able on unemployment, and with so many people unemployed, as well as the idea of people getting evicted. So there's a lot going on, and things are not happening at the degree that we would love them to be happening or hope that they would be happening. So I think about this in terms of these ideas of establishing a routine or continuing the routine, me coming back home. And even when I was on vacation, I got into this routine of getting up early in the morning and walking along the beach, seeing the sunrise, and that was really powerful. And then coming back home, and how do I keep it going? And while I was on vacation, there's three things that I think need to be interwoven into my routine, and that is staying safe. Of course, we know what that means. That means not being in situations where there's not social distancing and there's not mask wearing, and that's just that's just some of it. But also staying safe means to have myself in a positive mind state, have myself living with compassion and love and understanding, and staying grounded. So staying safe, staying grounded, meaning staying in the moment, staying in the present, not getting too carried away about what's going to happen in the future, or trying not to repeat the past, but figuring out staying grounded and feeling like I'm grounded in the moment, grounded in this time, and just being in the moment as much as possible. Yet at the same time, there's a need to plan and to reflect on past experience, but for the most part, staying grounded in what do I need to do now? How do I care for myself? How do I respond to the present moment in a way that's in alignment with my core values, in alignment with who I say I am? So for me, staying grounded meaning not losing my humanity, not getting sucked into the illusion of separateness. So having compassion for myself and other. So when I keep myself safe, I'm keeping other people safe. But also when I can be grounded, I can help other people get grounded, being here now and doing what needs to be done in this moment. I like to call it make the next play. And of course, that's even more essential when we make mistakes. And so the idea is to sustain the effort and then to stay on task. And for me, to stay on task is once again making the shift from doing to being. And so there's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen. But if I can stay focused on being myself, or being in the moment, focusing on who I say I want to be, like love, compassion, getting beyond the illusion of separateness, but also it's that holding the hurt and generating the hope, because even with great developments and with historical events, there's going to be a level of hostility and a lot of angst and blaming about what should be happening and who's not doing their job. So we have to really stay on task and not get distracted. So we need to understand that if people are not meeting our needs, or they're not being compassionate to Main Street as they are with Wall Street, then there's a consequence for that. We need to be able to express ourselves in terms of voting, in terms of having conversations, in terms of requesting our needs from our Congress people. We need to really get, and then of course, prayer never hurts. So this idea of doing it, and it's interesting because I've been doing this, my online course, Mind for Athlete, and we have a 6-week study group, and we just had our 4th meeting, and that's been the challenge, is how to practice the theory. We talk about, okay, how to be safe, how to be grounded, how to stay on task, or how to shift from being to doing. And that is a practice. We have to practice that. We have to practice being safe. And that means we have to practice wearing masks, practice being sensitive to social distancing, and also just general care and nutrition. Making sure we're sleeping, we're eating, and we're managing our stress in a way so that we're able to feel grounded. We're able to feel like, okay, right now for 24 hours, for this moment, I can manage that. I can't manage 6 months from now, or whether or not I'm going to be able to go back to my job, or whether or not Congress is going to make the right choice. I still have to stay grounded in what I can control. So the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So a lot of that has to do with attitude. And so I just think these 3 things, staying safe, staying grounded, and staying on task, or shift from doing to being. So I'm not so concerned about what I'm doing. I'm more concerned on how I'm being. Am I being in the moment? Am I being loving? Am I being compassionate? Am I being firm? Am I being responsible for myself and others? But really just doing the things I can control. I can control, not worrying about other stuff that's beyond my control. But at the same time, I need to share my voice and share the fact that yes, we need to take care of each other, and yes, we need to take care of Main Street. We've taken care of Wall Street. Now we need to take care of Main Street. So I work a lot with athletes, and as a result, I make statements that are applicable to athletics, such as make the next play. And in athletic competition, they're usually playing, there's a beginning, middle, and end, and there's a series or period or sequence that can be measured. And so we make mistakes. Maybe things don't turn out the way that they should, or we miss an opportunity in one way or another, one form or fashion. And the idea is just to let that go and then move to the next thing that needs to be done. And it's interesting because I'm reminded of the saying that I heard, I believe it's in the Bible, that says, do what you know to do, and the next step will be given to you. And so in my experience of 36 years in recovery, it's just for today. There's certain things that I can work on, certain things that I can let go of. There's certain ways of showing up with as much openness and self-honesty as I can. So making the next play, it means just, okay, so what needs to happen next? Sometimes that's just showing up and just taking a breath and letting go, and then just doing what is before us, what needs to be done, and just make the next play. And then once we do that, then it'll start to get clear about what's next to be done. So in my practices on the beach in the morning, there's times when my Achilles or other parts of my body get really tight or actually get sore, and I could see that if I think about, okay, I'm all the way down the other end of the beach, I got to walk all the way back. If I think about all of that activity and all of what I have to do to get there, it can be challenging. And what I can do and what I did is to practice this principle of making that next play, which is just take one step at a time. And Thich Nhat Hahn wrote a book called Pieces in Every Step. I took I changed it a little bit and said, joy is in every step. Just make the next step and the next step, then the next step and the next step. And before you know it, I'm where I want to be, and I actually feel more relaxed and more calm than I did before. So staying staying relaxed, being at ease, being at rest, in spite of the fact that I'm walking and this tightness in the Achilles or the back of the ankles, and just being able to just, and then to slow down, and not that you'd be in a hurry to go from one end to the other, but just trust in my body and stay in my own lane, not worry about how fast other people are walking, or whether or not I'm trying to make a certain time. And actually, in fact, I had time to stop and smell the roses, if you will, which in my case was stop and take a picture of the sun as it was rising, and the beauty of the ocean, and listening to the waves as they come. So we could be in the house, we could be anywhere, and it's the same drill. Make the next step, just do the next thing. If we're washing dishes, it's just wash the one dish. If we're sweeping the floor, just sweep the area we're working on. And if we're online or we're talking to somebody, just listening to what they're saying. And then once we hear what is being requested, is what is being offered, then we can pause and then we can respond to it in the way that's helpful. So this safety and groundedness and shift from doing to being, because we get so interested, when I get so interested in doing things, I'm not being. I'm not just being patient. I'm not being present, and like on the beach, just slowing down so I can be in my body and just walk and just, not have this extra forced effort or hyper focusing or in a hurry to get to the future that I'm living into, in the sense that I'm in the future. I'm not really here, so that I'm not even experiencing my steps. And I can see myself reflecting on this footsteps in the sand, where we talk about we don't feel like we've been carried, or the universe or God's been helping us. And we look back and we notice that there's footsteps there, so we were being carried. So it's interesting. So for me, when I look at the footsteps, I saw my footsteps. So it was like, okay, yeah, I know I'm being carried, but I'm also the one taking the steps. So I'm not minimizing having being carried, but right now I could do it myself, and I'm being carried in spite of the fact that they're my footsteps. I'm not walking alone. I'm walking in power. I'm walking in grace. I'm walking in ease.